Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is about the romantic compatibility between two INFJs. I know that there's quite a bit of information out there that can be confusing to know, okay, who is the best romantic match depending on a person's personality type or brain type. I've heard that opposites attract, or even that any person who's well developed can be matched with any other well developed personality type, and I don't really believe that. The reason is that the main reason usually that people part ways when it comes to a romantic relationship or any relationship that is really close really has to do with not seeing the world the same way. So irreconcilable differences is probably at the heart of most divorces or parting ways in terms of any long-term romantic relationship. So the only way that a person views the world differently has to do with how their brains are wired. So the brain is a filter, and depending on how you view the world, you will have different opinions, likes, dislikes, and strengths and weaknesses. So if we look at the INFJ is the most rare of all the personality types. And I would say that the likelihood of seeing an INFJ pairing is extremely remote. And I know that there are so many online groups, even like for instance Facebook group, meetup groups that say, okay, well, here are all these INFJs. I highly doubt that is true. And I will put a video link below so that you can understand what I mean in terms of why INFJs are so rare. And even in this video, if you wanted to sort of dive deeper into how their brains are wired, I mean, the INFJ brain has a theta brainwave dominance. In other words, they are in a deep meditative state 24/7. I mean, it's extremely rare to stumble that. And obviously in history, the people who were INFJs were someone like, Buddha, Jesus Christ, Mahatma Gandhi, let's say Mother Teresa. So you're not going to, again, just go on Plenty of Fish and stumble on Buddha. It's not going to happen. So again, I will be obviously discussing the INFJ pairing, but that is extremely rare occurrence. So what happens with the INFJ is that it is really the gold standard. Because when you think about it, when people talk about, let's say, the ideal mate, they are unconsciously describing the INFJ. The INFJ is very right brain dominant, but is also logical. So they have the most balanced brains. And sometimes what happens in relationships is that if someone is too right brain dominant or too left brain dominant, it's difficult for them to see the world realistically. Well, the INFJ brain is the least likely to have any mental health issue. In other words, if you reach the level of Buddha, you won't have depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder. It's usually won't happen. And when a person has a theta brain dominance, it is reflected in their resting breathing. So an INFJ has a resting breathing of less than 6 breaths per minute. So it's 5 breaths per minute or less. So these are people, even if they're chronically stressed, will breathe through the nose and also are very well oxygenated. And again, I will put some information below so you can understand what I'm talking about in terms of the importance of proper breathing for overall health. So interesting enough, when people talk about their ideal mate or their ideal relationship, they are in fact talking about the INFJ pairing. First of all, the INFJ brain is the most balanced of all the 16 personality types. In other words, although they are very right brain dominant, they have a well-developed left brain. So if you look at their function stack, is that the introverted thinking one is in the 3rd place. So you can reason well with the INFJ. And also they tend to do very well in school because they can both do math and science and understand it, as well as doing very well in the humanities. So they're good in terms of language, in terms of even, let's say, the arts. They have a long attention span. So if you're with an INFJ, they're not going to be easily distracted. They can focus on one person, and they are the type to be extremely monogamous. So let's say if you're with an INFJ, you're not going to be concerned about the person cheating on me, are they having some kind of an affair with somebody else. No, they're very much into just being with one person, and they tend to be very nurturing because they're, in terms of their relationship style, it is feminine and organized. So you'll see that people who have that type of relationship style want to connect with their loved ones. So these are people who are going to spend a lot of time with the people they care about. So they won't go missing for like weeks on end. You don't know where they are. No, they are very reachable, accessible, and you can easily get a hold of them within 48 hours. So in other words, you feel very supported if you are in a relationship with an INFJ. The other point as well is that they're very intuitive. So they have paranormal ability. So you can literally communicate with them without using words. They might have premonition dreams about, the relationship. So it's kind of interesting because if you are with an INFJ, you really feel connected. The other point also is that the INFJ has the best energy of all the personality types. So even being near them has a calming effect. And INFJs are universal healers. So let's say if you were in a relationship with them, just talking on the phone or just interacting with them will have a calming effect, a healing effect. These are people who are very curious, who want to learn. So you're never sort of short on, and let's say when you're talking to them, there's always new information. It's all about growth, and they're not people pleasers, which is very different. Let's say if you are with an ENFJ. So these are people, when you look at their function stack, introvert intuition is their first one. So they want absolute truth. So these are people, when they're looking at a situation, it's not about ego. It has to do with what is the truth that is universal, that is timeless. That's why you'll see that INFJs are the ones who have created, well-known religions like Buddhism and also Christianity, because they are about the ultimate truth. INFJs enjoy complex problems because it forces them to come up with original ideas, original solutions to these problems. They are very much also in touch with their bodies, because to be a really good healer, you have to be able to pick up subtleties. So you'll see that the INFJ tends to really understand subtleties about the environment, people. So you never have to spell things out with them. They will get it very quickly. So they are, if you look at the literature, especially with David R. Hawkins, when you look at different levels of awareness, INFJs all had the highest level of awareness. INFJs are the type of people who like to take their time, because they have slow theta brainwaves, so they're not the type to rush. So if you are interact with an INFJ, they are going to be focused on you and take their time. These are people also are very affectionate because they are very much right brain dominant. So you'll see that these are people who like to hug and to be physically close to the people they really care about. So you'll see that these are individuals who are also quite comfortable in terms of sexuality. Because when it comes to, let's say, two INFJs coming together, I mean, really, it's hard to get anything better than that. Because if you have two individuals who are organized, who are structured, who are hardworking, who are very faithful, who have long attention span, who also, in terms of, because of their judges, they tend to also even be good in terms of their finances and organizing their day-to-day activities. I mean, it's very difficult to have any issues if you see two INFJs together. And according to my favorite spiritual teacher, David R. Hawkins, when a person has reached a level of the INFJ, they are in essence enlightened. And they are also spiritual geniuses. There are obviously math and science geniuses, let's say like Sir Isaac Newton or Einstein. But when it comes to the right brain dominant type of individuals, yes, you can find people who are geniuses. So that's why the likelihood of stumbling on an INFJ is extremely rare, and a pairing of two INFJs is highly unlikely. To summarize, a pairing of two INFJs is the gold standard when it comes to long-term, fulfilling romantic relationships. The reason being is that the INFJ, as an intuitive feeler, is very focused on their romantic relationships, their relationship in general. And these are the type of people who are very reliable, reachable. They're the type to have a long attention span. So they're the type to be very faithful in their relationships. And also they're good at taking care of the day-to-day tasks. So paying the bills, taking out the trash, doing laundry. You don't have any problems when it comes to the INFJ. They're also very curious. They're the type of people who like to learn. So the other aspect when the INFJ is that they have the most balanced brain, so they can understand a variety of subjects, whether it has to do with, let's say, science and math, or it has to do with the emotions of psychology or even art. They're able to understand a number of fields. The other aspect is that these are people who are very much about the future, so they bring forth new ideas. Also, the INFJ brain is the healthiest of all the 16 personality types, which means that they're the least likely to have mental health issues, which means that they can focus on the needs of others instead of spending a lot of time and energy fighting their own inner demons. That they are the type to have a healing effect on others because they are universal healers. So they have a calming effect on people who interact with them. So for all these reasons, I would say that the INFJ pairing is most likely the most stable, the healthiest of all the 16 personality types because of all these characteristics. So let me know if you agree or disagree with this compatibility analysis by commenting below. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button, subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.